We do with our hands.
This is our...
Okay.
Oh, there's a fly. You go right in my mouth? No.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to...
No, it's ASMR. Hey, everyone.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to...
We used...
Hey,
everybody.
everyone.
That was ugly.
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
Hey,
Welcome
everybody.
to episode 2 of
We used to be married. Dun, 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 ding, 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 ding. We just still don't have a jingle.
We don't. We're going to work on that, though. It's
Yeah.
going to come soon. So this is a story about two hot-ass college kids who dated,
Broke up.
dated again,
Broke up again.
had a baby,
Got married.
then got divorced.
And we're still friends.
For now.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yes. Most of the time, yes. So, how was your week so far?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm amazed.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great, man. I am having a good week as well, I think.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Put her there.
Here's to
Yes.
great week.
All right.
Making it through. So what are we talking about today?
Today is a very special episode.
Yes.
First of all, it's number 2. We made it to the second one.
We have 2 mics now, one for every viewer. And so hopefully we will be adding mics, more mics, 1,000 mics.
Why do we need 1,000 mics?
We don't need 1,000 mics,
Okay.
but it'd be nice to have 1,000 viewers.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
So today is very exciting. We are going to be talking about why we got... Wait, can we... 1, 2, 3. Why did we get
divorced?
One more time. Why did we get divorced? Ayun, cheers.
Cheers.
Okay.
Salad. Mm-hmm. Man,
that's an easy answer,
very simple answer.
I can tell you that because
one is because you got cancer.
At being a husband.
Ah, wow. I was kind of joking about the cancer thing, but it is a very nuanced thing, and her having cancer was part of it, and me sucking was also part of it. But yeah, it's
a little more complicated than that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. So I thought today we would maybe hear each other's perspective.
Oh,
so
yes.
Take me through what that was like, our marriage, and what your experience was, what you were feeling, what you recall up until we decided to get divorced.
Wow. Okay.
And then it'll be my turn.
So,
and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
That's the most important part.
I feel like I know your part already, but maybe we'll come to some sort of understanding between the two of us.
Maybe we'll uncover something you didn't know.
Yeah. Maybe you will discover something you didn't know.
Right.
This is actually not a discussion we've had before, so this is going to be very interesting.
I'm excited.
So
buckle up.
Mm-hmm. We are going to time travel now back to 2009. So this is what happened the day after we got married.
Oh, no.
Maybe not the exact day after.
So
we got married on April 4th, 2009. That is our anniversary. And it was a very interesting time for me. It was, I would say, our marriage lasted just shy of 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That first year of marriage, wow, what an interesting time. So I was an actor, still am an actor, and
just starting out, right?
Yeah, just starting out back in the day. And so I was kind of busy with that. I just booked my first national. I had made a little bit of money, but then I spent it all because I was thinking, this is going to be so easy. And it's not. There's a whole learning process, and it's a lot of work and dedication, and I love it still to this day. And we got married. I was basically broke, had a baby on the way. And that first year was really rough. For me, there's a lot of adjusting. You had moved into my apartment in Mar Vista.
We had roommates.
Yes, at that time. Oh God, I should have kept that apartment. So we had moved in for a few months, and then got a place of our own in Mar Vista. And Mar Vista was a great little place on the west side. Loved
still
it.
is.
Yeah, it still
Love
is.
It.
Now it's all gentrified, and so you can't afford anything anymore. It used to be.
Some people can.
Some people can, yeah. So we were living there, and that first year was really rough for me mentally and emotionally because I was still processing our actual breakup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had a really bad breakup, and you moved to New York, and I think it was a whole movie scene where I was like crying.
You were at the bottom of the escalator as
watching
I
you
ascended up to my gate.
You escalated up the escalator. Yeah. And I was seeing you off and I was just bawling, or it was raining. I'm not sure. It was just raining on my face. It was so sad. I still remember that. It was just like such a K-drama moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, so broken up, you go. We didn't really, talk for a while, and then we talked, and then it was just a lot of, hard feelings to deal with. So that was the first year, just dealing with that, and with the fact that I resented you. There was a lot of resentment there that first year.
There wasn't any healing or closure with that.
No, not at all. Because
it was like, oh, we're pregnant. That means we should probably get married.
Yeah, and then just everything is fine. You get married, and that's it. You just figure it out, because that's what
that'll fix everything.
That's what our parents did. That's what America does. And gosh darn it, it was good enough for us. It wasn't, and but got through that first year. Went on a few auditions here and there, but mostly worked at night. Mm-hmm. So that first year was kind of figuring out the flow. I worked at night, you worked during the day.
That's right.
So we kind of switched off shifts, and
we hardly saw each other.
No, ships passing in the night. It was a lot to deal with. But in my mind, I was like, okay, cool. Well, we figured out some sort of pattern. So the second year was kind of like a little bit better. I hadn't dealt with all the prior trauma, but I was just kind of like, okay, cool. Well, we're coexisting, and I think we're doing okay. And then the third year, that was rough. I think it was like March or April. I'm smacking really loud. This ASMR, you just want to hear me crinkle something. So that third year, Zandy gets diagnosed with breast cancer in it's like March or April.
Yeah, we don't have to go through the details. I got cancer.
Yeah. She didn't get cancer. We just had lumps, and then we're like,
don't say we. Please don't say we.
Okay, fine, I won't. You got the cancer.
Thank you.
You had the lumps.
You didn't have no breasts.
I did not have any breasts.
I had the breasts.
Yeah. So anyway, she got diagnosed with breast cancer. And listen, I'm a barely working restaurant, server at night. Broke. I got a 1.5-year-old child at home. I got now a wife with breast cancer, stage 4.
This is where we insert the violins.
Yeah, absolutely. Stage 4?
Stage 3. Do you even know what that is?
Okay, so it wasn't even.
I'm gonna smack you.
It was okay. It was a very big deal. Yeah,
it's very aggressive. Stage 4 means it hasn't metastasized to any other part of the body. The only place it had moved to were the lymph nodes under my arms.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, here's the thing. Looking back, it's just kind of like just the details kind of really stand out to me, but I don't really know how to deal with anything. I just did not. So I kind of checked out. I definitely checked out. I, missed a bunch of appointments, chemo appointments and stuff like that. And my thing was, here's where my head was at. Not for sympathy. It's just looking back. This is where my head was at. Just the facts. Yes, officer, immediately. In my mind, I figured, hey, if I work, keep the rent paid, and groceries and whatever the necessities, that's kind of how I was present for you, to me, because that's kind of the example that I grew up with.
Sure.
My parents were there physically. Yes, they provided clothes and food and shelter, and it was all fine, but they weren't present, and I didn't have an example of what that meant. I didn't know what it meant to be like, oh, something's going on with someone in my family, I should drop everything and be there for them.
Yeah.
And that's not something in my mind that made sense to me, because
it was never modeled to you.
It was, if something went wrong with me, this is just an example of how my brain worked. Mm-hmm. I got hit by a car riding my bike to school in 5th grade. Instead of calling my parents, which a normal, kid might do, I just went to school because I didn't want to get in trouble by my parents.
Gosh.
Because I knew it would be an inconvenience. So I was bleeding, sitting in my homeroom 5th grade class, and the teacher was like, "Are you okay?" And I clearly wasn't. I got run over by an SUV. But I dragged my ass to school, and I was sitting there bleeding. So that's kind of my background on, trauma and what I felt like my value was to my parents. Like, they provide me with things, therefore I shouldn't inconvenience them. And a lot of times I was made to feel that way.
Sure.
So that was kind of where I was coming from. And so I just was like, work, and I
just provide.
Just provide. And that's
provide
all,
stability.
That's all it was for me, so. That's kind of the long and short of it. And then, I don't know, like, I would love to hear what you have to say on, what you observed.
Of course. Well, just to close up your story, your chapter.
That chapter, yeah.
Right. So you didn't show up, and I had enough of that, and eventually came to you and said, "This isn't working out. I'm leaving you."
2 days before our, what would have been our 3rd year anniversary.
Right. But we didn't really spend that much time together anyway.
No, we didn't.
So.
Yeah. Which is, kind of sad, like, in retrospect, like, oh man.
Yeah. Can you tell me how you received that? What were your feelings, if you can recall, when I asked you, or not asked you, I told you that I was leaving?
Yeah, I think initially it was shock, and it gave way to rage pretty quickly, and then just sort of reservation. I just kind of checking out, obviously, is something I'm kind of, familiar with. So I was like, okay, great. Yeah, okay. And the thing is, in my mind too, I had a 5-year plan. So one of my things, and I think we talked about this, maybe I touched upon it before, is that in my mind, I was like, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to make the money. I'm going to book jobs. And in 5 years, I want you to be able to pursue your dreams as well.
Well, so, you basically said, I'm going to get my big break in 5 years. That's my goal. And then once I get my big break, it'll be your turn to pursue your acting career, because I did put mine on hold.
Absolutely. And, that was kind of like my way of being like, all right, cool, let's compromise this.
5 years, wow.
Yeah.
And can you imagine?
The funny thing is, literally as we separated, we're through that process, I booked my first major TV role and a recurring TV role. And the next, 2 years was
Is this
really
where we
great.
insert it? Right here? We insert your cameo right here? Okay. Can we do that?
Oh.
Do you know how to do that?
I guess we can.
Right here.
Yeah. I'll put
your first
I'll show my
role.
red carpet photo.
Your red carpet photo with your crutches because you broke your leg.
Oh my God.
Wakeboarding.
Yeah.
The week after I took you off my insurance.
That was rough. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the whole thing with the divorce. Yeah, it was rough. I did not handle it very well. And, because I thought I had a plan that I was working towards, it didn't make sense to me. I was really angry that you would just be like, all right, cool. Sure. Especially because I was like, you were getting better, and you had people around you that were, really taking care of you. And in my head, I'm like, well, she's clearly good with that.
Yeah.
And then so when you said you wanted to separate, like, a small part of me, I think, felt relief because of the pressure being kind of alleviated. But I think a lot of it was just disappointment and resentment, because I'm like, how dare you, after the things you've done to me in the past, once again, unresolved trauma, like, fuck you. Are you serious?
All the steps that you thought you were taking to create stability and to show up in your own way.
Yeah.
It kind of was a surprise. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. It was. Yeah. So it was just a last tornado of emotions.
Right. I was like, you're not really doing it for me. Right. So that's kind of a segue into my side of the story, which was basically, first of all, getting married was a knee-jerk reaction. Let's face it. It was a product.
Only jerk?
Yeah, it was.
There are more things that jerk than just the knee. Is like an elbow and like a neck twitch and a back spasm into marriage. Like, oh God.
You will marry me.
Yeah.
You will. You must.
You just shoved me into
sign here, mother.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I felt.
Yeah. Cool.
I felt strong-armed.
Cool. Well.
I felt bamboozled. I felt hornswoggled. That's it.
Right. So yeah, that was very much informed by my upbringing in the Christian church.
I thought you were going to say Filipino community. I was
and
like,
Filipino community.
Yeah.
So I felt a lot of pressure from my grandfather, rest in peace, who was a pastor, and basically said our child would be cursed if we did not get married because we
ain't no trying to have no Rosemary's Baby. I've seen that movie when I was a kid. It was very traumatizing. We don't want a cursed baby.
We didn't want
Antichrist or something. Yeah.
So we were like, well, we better get married then, right? So we had fornicated.
Yeah, fornicated. It's just funnier that way. Okay.
So then we went through with that. Mm-hmm. We had a little backyard wedding, and all of our friends, bless them all, came together, hooked us up so that we could have the very nice intimate wedding that we had.
There was still a good number of people. I feel like there was like close to 100 people.
Yeah.
Still, for an intimate wedding, I'm like, good on us.
Yeah.
Really made it happen.
Thank you to everyone who made it happen, by the way.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank our sponsors.
Yeah.
Sorry to
this episode is brought to you by nothing.
Who gave us premarital counseling that actually was, I don't know, it didn't work.
We had premarital counseling?
Yeah, we did.
I know we met with them.
That was wasn't that yeah, that was premarital. Anyways, so
great at premarital sex, not so good with the premarital counseling. Anyways. Yeah.
So on my end over here.
Yeah, how did you
just
feel?
Constantly feeling dissatisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Dissatisfied because I was not satisfied with my own self, let's face it. I'm learning now through therapy that I just never felt good enough for myself. Mm-hmm. And so I always was seeking validation and seeing my self-worth through my partner, whichever partner that was at the time. My husband at the moment, at the time. And when you couldn't pull through, when you weren't present, that need of validation was not being met. And so I would either look for it in other places and other people, whether it be, other family members, friends, other people. Didn't work out.
So when you say other people, let's clarify. Would the word entanglement be an apt description for the validation you were seeking?
Cheers, Jada.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Let's keep it real right now.
Let's keep it real. Explore this.
So, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about doing this podcast, I told you that there were some things that you still didn't know about me, and if we were going to do this podcast together, that I wanted you to know the truth from straight from me. Yeah. Because I didn't want people coming out the woodworks, be like, hey, you think you know your ex-wife?
Shaking.
No. Didn't shake your world.
No, okay, fine. It just
didn't shake your world.
It was it was just...
Did it shake your world?
I'm going to say fundamentally for my past self who is still inside of me. Yeah.
I'm sorry I negated that experience for you.
It's at the end of it all, like I have to deal with it because there's nothing to deal with, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't change necessarily like how I feel about this and our friendship and what we're doing right now, which I think is really valuable. Mm-hmm. What it does do is kind of inform certain things, just of past experiences. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Because I'm like, these people, one of them I kind of figured. Right. I just thought it was like kind of, I was like, it's weird. She's hanging out with him a lot, but whatever. I mean, as long as she has someone to hang out with, that was cool. I'm not a very suspicious person. I'm not a very paranoid person. Or jealous person, which I never thought I was that not jealous guy, but I am, apparently. And then the other one, that one was a bit of a shock. Mm-hmm. So viewers, there were two entanglements.
Two entanglements.
One for each year of our marriage.
Right. Yes.
Was it though?
I don't remember how long they were. Yeah. However, I do know that I hung out with these people in the context of groups actually, mm-hmm. and then felt connected to this person because he was a male figure that actually cared about me and cared about my plight. Asked me questions, was present, was like, man, I wish I could take care of you. And I was like, I really wish you could take care of me too. Because I'm not enough for myself and I don't know how to take care of myself. So all that to say is I had needs and I wasn't getting them met by you. Also, I probably didn't voice them specifically because I didn't know what they were.
Could you? Yeah. I don't think you had the tools.
I was just as lost as you were. We both were lost. I had cancer and I did not know how to navigate that. I did my best. So basically.
Okay, so I feel like we've been meandering, right?
No, I was getting somewhere. So let me finish. All right. It's my turn still. So basically, I had needs. I couldn't express them. I didn't know what they were, so I couldn't even ask for them to be met. And so I had expected you to basically read my mind. And when you didn't.
Which is healthy and normal and completely just part of every marriage that works out.
Right, exactly. Yeah. When you didn't, then I said, I'm out of here.
Yeah. But I mean, you were out a couple of times.
Yeah.
A couple of times, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
We weren't really in it.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing.
We didn't really do stuff together.
No.
So on that third year, it was time.
Yeah.
To call it.
Yeah. Dealing with the cancer and the treatments, me not being there, and it was a whole plethora of things.
We had a lot of trauma. We had a lot of triggers. We had a lot of work that we needed to do, which I'm happy to say we've actually done in the last few years. You actually started your therapy journey before I did. Yeah. And I just not completed, but I'm on 1 year.
Yeah.
Of therapy
that's
now.
Right. I remember it was about like 6 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. I remember telling you about therapy, and I just, I was on the West Side now and, trying to do a little bit better as far as, and being there and closer and all that stuff. I remember telling you about going through therapy.
Yeah.
And your response was
very skeptical and even resentful. And I'm like, get real, bro. You have responsibilities. You need to take care of your son. You can't be on this other planet right now.
Yeah. Like you thought I was in La La Land. Like
I did.
Just, look at this guy, like mental health and self-improvement. And I didn't, I remember that. I remember that. And I was like, I hope she finds inner peace.
Right. Which I have. Thank you. I'm on my own journey now, and now I can definitely appreciate that we can speak the same language now.
It took a few years.
3 years later.
Took a few years for you to get to this point.
How many years? 8 years later.
8 years later. But I think it's we all go at different speeds,
right?
And and you having exited your second marriage, that's a huge deal. You got to figure out, like, well, it's not that there's anything wrong with you per se, but like, maybe those marriages weren't the fix all that we assumed that
we thought it was going to fix everything.
Yeah.
And that it was going to be like, oh, we're a unit now.
Yeah.
And that's the proper way to have a kid and bring this kid into the world. Right.
Yes, under the Lord of Heaven,
right. So if you were to ask Zandy and Jin from 2011 why we got divorced, what do you think we would say? What was the core?
Because we were young, dumb, and full of cum.
Right. That's what I was going to say too.
That's right?
Yes.
Cool. We're on the same page.
Also, we didn't know ourselves.
No.
We didn't know we were holding a lot of trauma and baggage, and we needed to work on ourselves in order to love each other. So first we needed to love ourselves, which we didn't at all. Now that we know what that really means.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think there are people that, whether because of their support system or because their third year of marriage wasn't interrupted by stage 3 breast cancer, can learn and grow past it.
That's true.
And that's true. I don't want to, sit here and say, oh, well, anyone that's doing what we did is going to ultimately fail, because that's not the case.
Right.
We were dealt a very unique set of circumstances.
Absolutely. It exacerbated.
Yeah.
The situation, really. And we were lost. I did not know how to deal with cancer. And I thought I knew what my partner should be doing. I didn't even know how to address his pain.
Yeah.
I didn't even acknowledge his pain and grief and hurt of his own partner having cancer and not knowing what to do. I was consumed with my own journey. Yeah. And like, you should be focused on me too.
And if I was someone that, was in a semi-decent place, like, of course I would have been there for you, because that would be the first instinct. But, being caught in this whole chaos of my inner mind and lack of perspective, it didn't, and lack of examples. I remember the first memory I have of being asked if I was okay was a really good friend of ours.
Yeah.
And through this process, through the cancer and through the end of our marriage, she said, "Are you okay? Like, you're going through a lot." And I remember thinking to myself, that's bullcrap. I'm not going through anything. I suck. And that's why this marriage failed and I couldn't be there for her. And it's like, I wrote myself off.
Because you weren't the one with cancer.
Yeah. And I knew I failed at whatever, I was supposed to be doing. And a lot of it has to do with what we thought we were both supposed to be doing, what the other person was supposed to be doing.
Right.
And looking back on that, I'm like, oh man, if I can go back and answer that question again, definitely would have started this awareness journey earlier. But, still had to go through all the paces of like being broke and then breaking my leg. And then, that didn't really end up so good. So I was a year like not walking and not working. And there was a lot of other stuff that ended up exacerbating the end of our marriage as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And me moving in really quickly with my next partner.
Yes.
So that was probably a lot to deal with at one time.
Mm-hmm. And then finding out that you were pregnant with his child.
Yeah. It happened really quickly.
Yeah. So anyway, that's going to be probably more information that we will talk about post-divorce.
Of course, yeah.
So why did we get divorced?
If you ask Zandy today,
mm-hmm.
It was because I was not enough for myself. Mm-hmm. And I entered the marriage in that state, mm-hmm. and I left the marriage in an even worse state of not loving myself and not being able to show up for myself, and in turn not being able to show up for you, not being able to communicate what I needed and how I was feeling, just expecting you to read my mind.
Yeah.
So that was
bullshit.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah.
It's okay to talk. It's okay to ask for what you need and to work it out and say, here, this is how I'm feeling. How do you feel about what I just said?
Yeah.
About what I need?
Yeah.
And then talk it through.
Yeah.
It sounds simple, but it's actually not.
No. Because you have to be, truthful with yourself. And I don't think a lot of people are either, in a positive or a negative way. Some people are delusional. Other people, like myself, have a hard time being vulnerable, because to me, being vulnerable means I'm inconveniencing someone.
Mm-hmm.
And being in that mindset, you don't get anything done. You can't help yourself. You can't help anybody else.
Yeah.
And so, if you ask me now why we got divorced, is because I had no capacity to think outside of my own self-preservation. And not because I was just inherently selfish, is because I was so used to protecting myself in all stages of my life. And even after things, as an adult, like, are supposed to work out, and you work towards things and they work out. Like, I still couldn't see past, a lot of the supposed inequities, things that were missing in my life.
Sure. So it sounds like we couldn't step outside ourselves.
Yeah. And I still deal with that for sure.
Yeah.
And I have to sit and literally count out the things that I am blessed with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a tough exercise to do. But
it's a learning process.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful that we're here today and that we can talk about it and we can be friends and we can co-parent and our son can see us thrive and move past that chapter of our lives, because we've healed, not because we're sweeping it under the rug, but because we've addressed and we did the work.
We're awesome.
Cheers to our therapists.
Yeah.
And us doing the work.
Gosh.
So the moral of the story and the moral of every single one of our podcasts is, remember, it's not always about you.